The windmill with its rugged sails, the views across the Dee to Wales, the country park which never fails to give its heart to you. A level crossing down a lane where you may suddenly obtain a close-up of each passing train as it goes rushing through. The pleasure on a sunny day of watching ships out in the bay, the misty silence on display as dawn begins to break. A walk along the waterside to watch the ever-changing tide, where distant ferry boats provide the icing on the cake. I'm the first one to agree, it can't be said with certainty where the winding road of life may lead, but it's easy to reveal exactly how I'll always feel, for this is all I ever really need. It seems that you can touch with ease the mighty ships from overseas, which seem to pass between the trees before your very eyes. You'll see a rock where children play, go up through paths of gorse and clay. The sudden panorama may just take you by surprise. It can't be said with certainty where the winding road of life may lead, but it's easy to reveal exactly how I'll always feel, for this is all I'll ever really need. There's distant lands to which I go, and through the years I've come to know the many virtues they bestow, but none which can compare with the splendours which are plain to see between the Mersey and the Dee. I say to those who think like me, I know what I prefer.
Bromborough is old, dating back to 912 AD, when King Alfred's daughter Ethelfreda founded a small monastery here. The centre of the original village is marked by the Bromborough Borough Cross. The steps are 13th century, but the head is modern, replacing the 1874 original, which was stolen. Overlooking the town is the Church of St. Barnabas, which was built between 1862 and 1864 on the site of an old Norman church which was demolished in 1828. Built of red sandstone, the church has a square tower supporting an octagonal steeple. Outside the church gate, unnoticed by passers-by, is a large boulder brought down from the Lake District during the Ice Age. In 1278, a charter granted the village a weekly market and annual fair, privileges only granted to places of great importance. The Bromborough of today, however, was created in 1853 by Price's Patent Candle Company, later to become Price's Chemicals, specifically for their employees. Similar to, but prior to, Lever's Port Sunlight, and much smaller. With just a few rows of houses, a chapel, a school, and 2 hospitals. The local cottages still retain their charm. Pear Tree Cottage, dated 1699, being one of the oldest. On the village's doorstep is Brotherton Park, where nature takes a bow. This area of natural beauty was given to the borough of Bevington by Lord Brotherton. The River Dibbin gently flows through the woodland, inviting wildlife of every description. Here, seekers of peace and quiet will find what they're looking for. The name Bromborough is derived from the Norse word Brunbrae, which means town of the well. The well being the place where St. Patrick is said to have visited in 432 AD to baptize the English. Indeed, a fascinating feature of the park. Eastham Village, now bypassed by the busy A41, was once bombarded with Liverpool-bound passengers making their way through to the nearby ferry. Times have changed somewhat, and as you arrive at this charming place, there seems to be little evidence of its contrasting surroundings. The focal point is the Church of St. Mary, a red stone building with an odd-looking brooched spire. The original church on this site was built in 1150. In the churchyard is Eastham's famous yew tree. It is said to be at least 1,000 years old. Next to the church is the 1851 schoolhouse, and the local pubs all add to the village atmosphere. After passing through this peaceful spot, you arrive at the remains of what was one of the busiest ferry services on this coastline. It stands opposite the Eastham Ferry Hotel, which was built in 1846 by Sir Thomas Stanley, along with zoological gardens containing lions and tigers, monkeys and bears, and the area became known as the Richmond of the Mersey. With the introduction of the Chester to Birkenhead Railway in 1840, the demand declined, and although the ferry service continued, it eventually ceased in 1929. The original 1857 ticket office still remains, now a shop catering for modern day trippers who come to sample the magnificent views across the Mersey and to take a stroll in the neighbouring woodland, which in 1970 was designated a country park. Here you can walk your dog or stroll through the only piece of countryside along Wirral's east coast. On a clear day, Speke Airport is clearly visible on the other side of the river, and you can also enjoy stunning views of Liverpool. "300 yards north of the present jetty, steps take you down to the muddy remains of Job's Ferry, which was the original ferry, dating back to 1509. Passengers literally had to wade out to the waiting boat. Not an ideal situation. is quite a surreal experience walking along the footpath with fields and woodland on one side and ships passing by on the other, almost within touching distance. The ships are visitors to the close-by Manchester Ship Canal, now separated from the village and park by huge storage tanks. The canal was opened in 1894 to provide ocean-going ships with easy access to the port of Manchester. This has never been popular with the local community. Wagons constantly thundering through a small village was not appreciated. However, the problem was eventually solved with the provision of a separate road bypassing the village. A rural community surrounded by heavy industry is the ultimate contrast, and yet seems strangely natural. The villages play a major part in the contrasting makeup of this wonderful corner of the world. The ones we have visited are what gives it its historic foundation. So let's pay a short visit to some others which have been around since the border of Wirral was originally described as 2 arrow shots from Chester's Wall.